Hello everyone, it's Nina from Waffle Flower. All 4 shader brushes plus versions are now available in waffleflower.com. We released the round tip brushes, the 0 Plus and the 1 Plus last month. The flat tip brushes, the 2 Plus and 3 Plus, are available now, along with a sampler pack containing 1 each of the 4 new brushes. We designed these new brushes to help you color in quickly, especially when using stencils. I've created a detailed comparison video with the original versions. You can click on the link popping up on the right now, or find it linked in the description below. In this video, I will focus on the changes we've made to the 2 Plus and 3 Plus brushes and explain what I will use each of the new brushes for by making 2 cards using our November release. We still have the original brushes. They are included in our warehouse moving sale that ends on November 14th and won't be available in the future once the stocks sell out. The 2 Plus is the brush that has received the biggest update in this release. We reduced its size to about half. There is now a distinctive difference in size between the 2 flat tip brushes. This new size really helps when working with smaller die cuts and stencils. When used on its side, it's just about 1/8 inch wide. This wasn't available with any other blender or stenciling brushes we know of. The 3 Plus is also reduced in size, about the size of the original number 2 brushes. This is because we realized that if we need a bigger brush like the original number 3, we usually just use an oval brush instead. Now let's put these brushes to use. Whenever there is a linear edge involved, the flat tip brushes, shader 2 and shader 3, are perfect for it. I used the bigger border tip, shader 3 for the book pages, and the smaller shader 2 for the edge of the covers. I tried using an oval brush for this, but as you can see, using the shader brushes will get you the colors much quicker. This is the new pop-up books panel die and the coloring stencil. They're a tons of fun. The Cat Treehouse die and the Simple Shelves die are great for demonstrating the new flat tip brushes. The new shader 2 and 3 are excellent for defining the edges along the straight lines. I'm not the best teacher to demonstrate shading techniques because I like to build dimension with foam tapes, but we also get asked a lot about how to achieve a dimensional look without bulk to make sure it will go through the mail without damage. Well, let me show you how to use these new shader brushes to achieve that. This is definitely out of my comfort zone, but if I could do it, you can do it too. Starting with the Cat Treehouse die, I'm tracing the right vertical edges with a ballpoint pen. You could use a pencil and erase the lines when you've finished shading, but I'm going to shift the whole piece to cover my traced lines so I don't worry about removing them. I traced along the edges where I thought I need to add the shadows, and you'll see me going back and forth to make sure I covered all the areas. Here's a quick tip on using the guides for ink blending over the grip mat. Always turn the upside down to avoid direct contact of the mat to the back of your guide. The mat might take off the print if you leave it on there for an extended period of time. The rest is easy. I use the guide to mask along the edges and brush the ink onto the paper side. After the first layer with shader 3 Plus, I go back with shader 2 Plus to darken the corners. I brush on some shadow color to the edges of the Cat Treehouse die cut itself, and I'm ready to adhere it to the card. To help direct people's eye to the center, I blend in the same ink for the shadows along the edges of the card panel. When working with paper alone, I prefer ink blending over a stencil mat. It's as smooth as butter. If you do this directly on your grip mat, you will feel the brushes catch on the mat before reaching the paper, so not as smooth. I die cut the pieces for the beds and the stairs in the same green cardstock and shaded them with the same ink as well. It's amazing how a little bit of ink blending ties all the elements together. To color the letters on the sentiment die cut, I prefer the round tip brushes. They are perfect for coloring a layer of ink with the same density. The same goes for the cat silhouette. I've die cut a bunch from white cardstock, so I can color them in any color I want for any project. Isn't this fun? I'm happy with how this card turned out. Next is the simple shelf style. It turns your entire A2 card front into a bookcase. Isn't it cool? You can use some pattern paper to back up these openings like what Galina did here, but I'm going to challenge myself to add shading to the cream cardstock for a more realistic look. It's actually really easy to do because we're mostly working with straight edges. Since I need shading along the entire panel, I decided to ink blend with an oval brush. Again, start the brush off the paper and blend in a circular motion. One thing I didn't notice until later is that I blended in too far on one of the short edges and lost the highlight part of the shelf. It's just a disadvantage of using a bigger brush. If I want to darken the edges, I usually end up inking further into the piece than I intend to. You will see me clean off both the stencil mat and grip mat and my stamps using the yellow piece of nether chamois. I found it more efficient than baby wipes. Okay, a quick comparison. You can see the edge I shaded with the new Shader Brush 3 is more intense and the edge of the shelf is more defined than the one I ink blended with an oval brush. I go over the edge again with the oval brush to soften the colors out a bit. Notice that this doesn't darken the shadows. The new shader brushes are the only ones I've found that can provide this color density. You won't get any darker than this. Let's zoom in to see the process again. I brush the colors off the edges to get the density I want, and then use an oval brush to soften it out. I have a lot more control over the look than using a big blending brush alone. I flipped the piece because I prefer to swipe to the right with the shader brushes. Whatever feels natural to you is the way to go. And yeah, here's when I realized that ink blended too much inside the frame. Well, no worries. I just used 3 shelves instead of 4 on my card. Thanks to the straight edges, it's very easy to do. I decided to use the catalog die that contains stacks of books and 3 banners for decorating the shelves. I usually plan my sentiment out before gluing everything down. And again, a little bit of shading with the shader too. I find it looks the best when I don't go over about half of each book spine. 30 books are loved books, right? For bigger areas, an oval brush like our blending brushes gets the job done beautifully and quickly. I ended up using the shelf and on die to add more colors to the card. It was really fun to add a little shading to the clock face for a more realistic look. I decided not to use the palm leaves to keep the main focus on the bookshelf and the sentiment. And here are the 2 cards I made. I think I outdid myself. It's always our goal to have tools that make things easier. I hope you enjoyed this video and have a better idea of whether these new brushes are for you. Happy crafting! I'll see you again soon.